Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight. The Prime Minister meets his South Korean counterpart on the sidelines of the South Korea-Africa Summit. And on the international scene in Gaza, Israel bombs the Gaza Strip from north to south, killing almost everybody. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The aberrant ranking of the port of Djibouti in the World Bank's Container Port Performance Index 2023. It is with deep dismay that the government of the Republic of Djibouti has learned of the Container Port Performance Index 2023 report published by the World Bank in collaboration with S&P Global Market Intelligence. This ranking, which places the port of Djibouti in the 379th place worldwide, a staggering drop of more than 300 places compared with 2022. It is not only absurd but also insulting to the considerable efforts made by the Djibouti authorities to develop and modernize their port infrastructure. This spectacular fall in the rankings defies all logic and in no way corresponds to the reality on the ground. In fact, the port of Djibouti, SGTD, enjoyed a banner year in 2023, marked by ongoing investment in facilities and productivity, as well as the development of new activities such as transshipment, the acquisition of latest generation gantry cranes for large capacity vessels, testifies to SGTD's commitment to offering state-of-the-art services to its international clientele. Furthermore, it is mind-boggling, to be frank, that the World Bank report miraculously moves the port of Djibouti to a West, Central, and South Asia region, encompassing an area from Saudi Arabia to Bangladesh. This mass and gross geographical error casts doubt on the credibility of the entire study and raises questions about the methodology employed. The aberrant ranking of the port of Djibouti in the CPPI 2023 does unjustifiable damage to the reputation of our country and its port infrastructures, and is all the more regrettable in an international context marked by complex tensions affecting the operations of ports. Faced with an unacceptable situation, the Republic of Djibouti demands a clear and detailed explanations from the World Bank of the factors that led to this heinous mistake and ranking. We also call for an immediate revision of this report to accurately reflect the real performance of the port of Djibouti and to do justice to the considerable efforts made by the Djiboutian authorities to develop a first-class logistics hub. The government of the Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its determination to pursue its policy of ambitious development of the port sector with a view to reinforcing Djibouti's strategic position as a key maritime hub serving international trade. We hope that the World Bank will demonstrate transparency and rigor in its future analysis in order to promote a constructive and mutually beneficial collaboration. The Prime Minister meets his South Korean counterpart on the sidelines of the Korea-Africa Summit. Discussions at this virtual meeting focus on strengthening cooperation within the framework of the resolution adopted in the final declaration. Indeed, the forward-looking strategic relationship between the two countries is destined for strong potential for exchange and partnership, facilitated by the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area and Djibouti's chairmanship of the Executive Secretariat for the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. The Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Han Duck-soo, also thanked the Djiboutian government for its support during the elections of international organizations, as well as for its condemnation of the development of North Korean missiles, and asked for Djibouti's support in the elections underway this year for the human rights mandate from 2025 to 2029, for which South Korea is competing. However, discussions continued in the issues at stake between the two countries and the vulnerability caused by climate change, such as the scarcity of rain, Prime Minister Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed spoke of the efforts made by his government, mentioning the solar power plant built in the north of Djibouti. The Prime Minister met his South Korean counterpart on the sidelines of the Korea summit, not forgetting solar power. In addition, the head of the delegation called for the acquisition of technologies that would enable Djibouti to take advantage of seawater desalination plants running on renewable energy. Yoon Suk-yeol pledged billions of dollars in aid and support for investment in Africa on Tuesday. His country is hosting at least 48 delegations from across the continent for the first South Korea-Africa Summit. Seoul intends to strengthen its cooperation with Africa, particularly in the fields of minerals and technology. Climate change is also on the agenda. In order to respond to climate change, leaders and participating members agreed to form a climate finance structure that reflects Africa's need to respond to the threat. In addition, South Korea has decided to develop projects such as Key Rice Belt, which can help boost Africa's food self-sufficiency, explained the South Korean president. A high-level delegation led by the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of industry, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Douali, covered on the headquarters of the French Development Agency (AFD) for an exceptional day dedicated to Djibouti. It was the event not to be missed, orchestrated by FAD's Africa Department on Tuesday, June 4th, a true demonstration of the unwavering commitment between the Republic of Djibouti and France, accompanied by a cohort of eminent personalities such as the Secretary General of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, as well as the General Secretary of the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Mohammed Ali Hassan, and the Djibouti Ambassador to France, Mr. Ayed Moussa Yahya. The Minister, Mr. Douali, breathed new life into this memorable day, commemorating with branch 50 years of AFD presence in Djibouti and 47 years of fruitful partnership between the two nations. The event, which ran from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., was a perfect fusion of tradition and modernity, with a hybrid format allowing for massive participation, thematic sessions punctuated by captivating speeches from influential personalities. The second session, highlighting the fruitful partnership between AFD and Djibouti, brilliantly showcased tangible achievements in crucial areas. The Djiboutian diaspora in France was celebrated with emotion in a dedicated session revealing the diversity and vitality of this community. The NGO Bandar Jadid today organized a workshop entitled Advocacy Project on Digital Policies and Projects. The event, held in Bandar Jadid's VIP room, brought together various ministers and key players in the digital sector to discuss the strategies and initiatives needed for the country's digital expansion. The workshop began with a series of presentations and discussions led by technological experts, civil society representatives, and members of the NGO Bandar Jadid. Following the workshop, a high-level meeting was held in Bandar Jadid's VIP room. The meeting brought together various ministers, including those for higher education, digital investment, and decentralization. The aim was to discuss proposed digital policies and examine ways of integrating them into national development plans. The ministers present expressed their support for the proposed initiatives and stressed the importance of collaboration between government, NGOs, the private sector, and academic institutions. They agreed to set up a follow-up committee to ensure effective implementation of the projects discussed. The Bandar Jadid NGO will continue to play a central role for advocating of these efforts relates on ongoing collaboration and adaptation to the rapidly changing technological landscape. The AMPH organized a ceremony today to formalize the assignment of disabled people to the Ministry of Town Planning and Housing. The ceremony in the Minister's meeting room was attended by the Ministry of City, Urban Planning and Housing, Madam Amina Abdi Adan, who graciously welcomed the 5 new employees. The delegation from the National Agency for Disabled People, led by MPH Managing Director Mr. Douali Saeed Mahmoud. This initiative is part of MPH wider strategy to raise public and corporate awareness of the importance of including people with disabilities in the world of work. The mission testifies to the government's commitment to equal opportunities and social justice for all Djiboutian citizens. World Environment Day, celebrated on June 5th, took on particular importance this year in Djibouti, with a focus on the theme land restoration, desertification, and resistance to drought. The theme is particularly relevant for Djibouti, a country facing major environmental challenges linked to its climate. Land restoration efforts aims to revitalize the degraded ecosystems, improve soil fertility, and increase resilience to frequent droughts. This initiative is part of a broader strategy for sustainable development in the fight against climate change. Activities organized include awareness campaigns, reforestation programs, and educational workshops to promote sustainable agricultural practices. By celebrating this day, Djibouti reaffirms its commitment to protecting the environment and working towards a more sustainable future, highlighting the importance of restoring land to ensure food security and improve the living conditions of local population. During this event, which took place at the Key Center, several important personalities were present. Among them were the Minister of Communication in charge of Posts and Telecommunications, the Minister of Youth and Culture, the Minister of Interim Environment, who is also the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf Property, and Minister of Women and Family, but also the President Coordinator of the United Nations System, as well as the UNDP representative. Their presence demonstrates the importance given to this day and the cross-sectoral support for environmental initiatives, and their participation underlies the collective commitment of the Djiboutian government in the fight against desertification and the promotion of resilience to drought. This Wednesday, the Standing Committee for Social Development, enlarged to include members of the Legislation, General Administration, and Human Rights Committee, met to examine draft number 121/N/24/9th Register, adopting the National Strategy for Non-Contributory Social Protection to Strengthen Human Capital 2023 to 2027 of the Republic of Djibouti, chaired by the Parliament member Mr. Kamil Hamad, Chairman of the Social Development Commission. The government was represented by Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, accompanied by the Secretary General and Director General of ADDS, as well as their close collaborators. At the end of this exchange, the bill received a favorable opinion and will be forwarded for adoption at the next public session of the National Assembly. The second part of the National Assembly's agenda was devoted to examining Bill number 115/N/24/9th Register, ratifying the Constitutional Financing Agreement for the Djibouti Agribusiness Support Project. Under the chairmanship of the Honorable Abdurrahman Awali Yassin, the Foreign Affairs Commission held an extended working session with members of the Production and Trade Commission, led by the Honorable Ilaya Ismail Gedi Hared. This working session took place in the presence of Mr. Muhammad Ahmad Awali, Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock, and Hydroelectric Resources, accompanied for the occasion by the Secretary General of the said department and his principal collaborators. Following the exchange, the Foreign Affairs Commission approved the transmission of the ratification project to the public session with a favorable opinion. The chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi, received yesterday at the Red Sea Hotel in Djibouti a delegation of Saudi businessmen led by the President of the Saudi Union, Mr. Hassan bin Mujib. The Saudi delegation held previously taking part in the Saudi-Djibouti Economic Forum held at the Djibouti Isla Grand Hotel under the patronage of the acting Prime Minister, Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdan. The chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority discussed with Saudi investors and businessmen ways of strengthening economic and trade relations between the Republic of Djibouti and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in order to meet the aspirations of the leaders and peoples of the two brotherly countries. Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi took the opportunity to express the Republic of Djibouti's concern to consolidate frontier ties with increase the level of trade with Riyadh in accordance with the directives of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gelle. For his part, the head of the Saudi delegation expressed his gratitude and thanks to the Djiboutian authorities for their warm welcome and generous hospitality, while expressing his country's firm commitment to strengthening bilateral relations with Djibouti in priority areas, first and foremost by increasing the volume of trade between the two countries. The meeting was attended by the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to Saudi Arabia, Mr. Diyauddin Said Bamakrama, the Director of the Arab World Department at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Muhammad Ali Waliye, and other officials from the Ports and Free Zones Authority. Following this meeting, the delegation of Saudi businessmen made field visits to several port facilities in Djibouti to observe at close quarters the developed infrastructure from which these virtual installations benefit, playing a tangible role in strengthening the country's economic and social development. As part of this tour, the Saudi delegation, which included some 80 businessmen accompanied by the chairman of the Djibouti Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi, visited the management company of the Dorali Container Terminal, or SGTD, which is one of the most modern and efficient container terminals in sub-Saharan Africa. The Saudi delegation was welcomed by the senior management of the terminal. During the visit, the delegation received further explanations on the terminal's container management capabilities and the services it offers to foreign investors. For the second stage, the motorcade headed straight for the Dorali Multipurpose Port, or DMP, which is helping to strengthen our country's capacity to expand and diversify logistics services, constituting a new source of economic and social development. It should be noted that the inauguration of this virtual port took place in May 2017 under the patronage of the President of the Republic himself, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. The visit enabled the Saudi businessman to see firsthand the developed infrastructure of the Durai multipurpose port, which plays a central role in consolidating trade between Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. The delegation also inspected the railroad line linking the port to the main station at Nagat, as well as the livestock export station. Also, as part of the tour, the Saudi delegation visited the Djibouti International Free Trade Zone located at PK23, where they toured the site. The chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi, and his close collaborators accompanied the delegation on this visit. Also, on the last leg of their tour, the Saudi delegation stopped off at the port of Damarjog, accompanied by the chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi, and the ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to Saudi Arabia, Mr. Dayuddin Said Bamakrama. During the visit, the delegation inspected the Damarjog Oil Port Construction Project, whose construction work is in its final stages, reaching around 94% completion. The delegation also received further explanation from the port's management. The delegation of Saudi businessmen then held a working meeting at the VIP lounge at Damarjog with the chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, during which aspects of mutual cooperation between Djibouti and Riyadh were reviewed. Discussions focused on the Saudi use of the Damarjog oil jetty. Also, the Saudis showed particular interest in developing a refinery. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Mohammed Ali Mohammed, yesterday provided over the lunch ceremony of the workshop of the development and validation of the National Cancer Control Strategy in the presence of the representative of the WHO office in Djibouti, Mrs. Hermes Jumana George, the Director of Priority Health Programs, Mrs. Mounira Ahmed Ali, the Director General of the CHUD, Dr. Omar Mahmoud Ismail, and the Coordinator of the National Cancer Control Program, Dr. Awale Ahmed Awale. Cancer is a major public health problem. It is one of the main causes of morbidity and mortality in the world, and the burden it represents continues to grow from year to year. In a drive to tackle the problem of cancer, the Republic of Djibouti is making constant progress in the development of tools, instruments, and resources to ensure that the population benefits from quality care and adequate means of provision. To this end, the Ministry of Health, with technical support from WHO Office, has launched a process to draw up the first National Strategic Plan for Cancer Prevention and Control, which was launched jointly with the national and international medical specialists and experts at the Kempinski Hotel from June 4 to 6. This process will help build capacity in this field and improve the organization of interventions and activities to prevent and control this disease, which is both serious and costly in health, economic, and social terms. Jib Talents, or in French, Jib Talent, is a reality TV show broadcasted on Djibouti radio and television, which debuted on September 10, 2023. Throughout the month of April, the young female and male artists competed in the quarterfinals at RTD's Judicial Studio in the front of the juries and fans who came from all over to support and honor them with their presence, encouraging and stimulating the motivation of each candidate. The quarterfinal winners all went on the next phase. The semi-final it's clear the preparations for the semi-final are in full swing, and the musicians, even more motivated than before, are working together to prepare the winning candidates for the semi-final, which begins this Thursday, tomorrow. Repeated practice sessions to work on their voices and above all to prepare them to respect the rhythm of the chosen pieces, making the show even more captivating. What's more, we must emphasize the excitement, impatience, and enthusiasm of the general public to relive the moments of intense emotions into which the artistic and media tribulations of our stars from the Afar, Somali, and Arab communities plunged them. Jib Talent, a casting call for young artists from the capital in all regions of the country, followed by a sustained performance by the artists as usual. RTD, in partnership with the Ministry of Youth and Culture, is redoubling its efforts to ensure the success of the show in general and the Jib Talent quarterfinal in particular. The fine on-stage performance of the winning candidates and the various songs they chose and sang left the large audience transfixed, savoring the moments they spent in front of the small screen. Prepare to be amazed tomorrow by the spellbinding tracks of the winning artists for the semi-finals. Make sure to tune in this Thursday, which is tomorrow, June 6th at 8 p.m. sharp for the beginning of the semi-final. The launch of the International Archives Week was held yesterday in Djibouti at the National Archives Center with a team of archives and emerging technologies. The National Archives Department plays a crucial role in the preservation and management of the nation's archives, which are often historical and administrative documents of great importance. The launch of International Archives Week is attended by the Director General of the Agency, the Director General of the Mythology, National Archivists, and other participants. A video was showing recounting the history of archives from before 2000 to the present day. These national archives constitute the collective memory of our people, our nation, and of course, our country. In accordance with the directives and instructions from the Ministry of Labor, the Inspector General of Labor and Social Legislation this morning organized a consultation meeting focusing on regulatory control operations in conjunction with the various institutions involved in the national labor market. The fundamental objective of the meeting was to establish an operational approach to planning and rigorous preparation for better organization of the control campaign, with emphasis on strict enforcement of the regulatory of employment and of foreign workers in compliance with the textual provisions in force. The meeting was attended by the Gendarmerie, the police, NIFIP, the prefecture, and the CNSS, all of whom are part of the national organization mobilized for the above-mentioned control operations. It should also be pointed out that the teams mobilized in this way have the exclusive mandate of carrying out verification operations while ensuring compliance with the regulations in force. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, airstrikes targeted the east and center of Rafah on Tuesday, according to witnesses and a local official. One witness reported artillery fire in Khan Yunis, a ruined town a few kilometers from Rafah. Deadly bombardments hit Gaza City in the north and the Palestinian camp of Burej in the center of the territory, and Dar al-Balah. Also in central Gaza, 8 policemen were killed, according to the Hamas press services. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk said on Tuesday that he supported the Gaza ceasefire plan put forward by US President Joe Biden. Well, but these are blood viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.